Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious, and today we're going over another round of the Spring 3v3 OP07 Championships. We watched the first round that they had streamed and commentated it in the last video. Very exciting starter deck 10 Law versus OP01 Zoro match. Very good start, in my opinion, to an exciting tournament overall. And this round, we're going to have an interesting matchup as well. We've got in the team on the left, I almost forgot my lefts and rights. The team on the left, starter deck Law, Black, Yellow, Luffy, Gecko, Moria in that order. And then the team on the right, the blue team, the Black, Yellow, Luffy, the Trafalgar Law, and the Enel. So a little bit of similarities, right? We've talked about, now we've seen 4 teams. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern with like the Black, Yellow, Luffy, the starter deck 10 Law, right, being some of the top decks of the format. And so these two teams opting in that third spot, having a little bit of a difference. So I believe the Gecko and the Enel is going to be what is streamed. So excited to watch that. Excited to see what the new cards are in the additions of the decks, what new techs the decks have introduced into the archetype in OP07, because I have a little bit of an idea of stuff that I've seen from Japanese Twitter, but we'll be able to see it in action. Now, just a heads up, this is not my official video. As I mentioned, this is from the official One Piece trading card game live stream that happens. So if you don't want to hear my ugly talk or whatever, you don't want to hear my commentary, the link of the official stream is down in the description below. I'm not making any money off this or anything. It's just literally practicing commentary to maybe someday do it on the big stage. Bandai, please notice me. So coming in here, it is Gecko Moria and Enel. So the Enel is an interesting hand right now. 2 Yamatos, the new OP07 10-drop ace, a Shirahoshi, and a Capone. Very interesting starting hand. I almost think it's not that bad of a starting hand. It seems a little weird as an Enel. I feel like it's a little weird, but it doesn't feel that bad. You have your big bodies, especially ones that are harder to find, so being able to utilize those preserve effects are really nice. For the Gecko, you've got the brand new there, a Sabo, the Hina, a Victoria Sindri, which is a great turn 1 play, and then the Isho, the 8-drop Isho from OP03 is a new inclusion that we've seen in these Gecko decks, especially in OP07, being able to, just like that 10-drop Kuzan, widespread -3 cost to so many different people. And it looks like our Enel player is going first in this game, so I'm curious to see how this is going to go. The Enel just drawing and passing, or I'm sorry, not even drawing Dawn and passing. The Gecko player is going to draw and go ahead and play the brand new. So being able to pick up the Suru, that 2K, you get an Absalom and a Rebecca in the trash. Not a bad start, right? Whenever your brand new hits something nice, especially like an Absalom on there. So now at 3 Dawn, drawing a Flampe, a Charlotte Flampe. There is reason that you would want to play the Charlotte Flampe as they swing 7 into a life, no trigger right there, and then passing the turn after getting that Perona off life, maybe fainting in El Thor. We saw that, I believe, at the World Championships or at the National Championships, the US National Championships. Jonas Abraham, I believe, doing that at Nationals. Definitely a technique that is seen a lot in decks like Enel that could potentially play El Thor. So the Gecko now on their 4 Dawn turn, going ahead and playing the Victoria Sindri, going to be trashing Perona, Isho, 2 Surus, and a Separus, I think that was. So a lot of Surus right now, a lot of 2Ks overall. I think you've seen 5 2Ks, 6 2Ks in general at this point. So a lot of 2Ks just going around right now, but you do not mind having a Perona in the bin. The Cerberus there is really nice as you're using leader effect, swinging 6. Going to be trashing a Dr. Hogback Sabo and another card I wasn't able to see. I was too busy talking. But through that leader effect of the Gecko, going to be using the Perona and having that pitch effect. So the pitch effect, very interesting. Pitching the 2K Capone, that's an interesting choice. I mean, you don't really have too many other options, I feel like, in this game, so it's not the worst idea. And so after drawing that Capone, playing that Gadatsu, and at 5 life, or 4 life, I'm sorry, taking out the Perona, and going to be swinging a simple 5 for a hit. So now getting that Gecko Moria off of that life, and then also the Borsalino off the top deck. Going to be really nice at this point with your 6 Dawn, I believe, trying to get an effective turn there. The Enel is at 3 life as of right now. You could honestly see something like the Hina played like they're doing right now. The Hina is being played on that Gadatsu, and then with the leader effect, they're going to be trashing a card from their hand, this Borsalino, to trash 2, and then find Absalom. The Absalom is going to pop that Gadatsu once they put 2 cards back in their deck, being the Isho and the Borsalino, because of that Hina's on play effect. Taking that life, it's going to be another 10-drop ace, so 4 different big bodies being able to preserve life at this point, now at 7 Dawn. I think this Gecko player has done a decent job kind of filling bodies on the board and applying pressure before the game gets too deep. And so the 7K swing now at the Gecko is going to take a life. So taking that one, we're kind of seeing the Uta strategy from Japan Nationals, as the Enel is playing the Shirahoshi to draw 3 and trash 2. The Uta player really just against the Enel in the Enel matchup at that tournament, really just, or well, yellow in general, I think it was Katakuri, but similar concepts. You took a lot of life really fast in order for cards like Gadatsu and the Yamato to not be able to hit big important characters, right? So really just taking that strategy right now, not wanting to trash anything. The Enel player still thinking about what they want to discard off of this. They're thinking about Raigo, getting rid of that card, and a Capone. So another 2K hits the bin for no value. Kind of like seeing that if you're the Gecko player overall, you don't mind seeing those Capones go away because it's better than in life or off of counter. So getting a brand new as the top deck. They're now on their 8 Dawn turn. Could play that 8-drop Gecko Moria. You do have a couple options. You could get a Perona out and a Cerberus if you want. The Perona would be good in getting them to pitch a card from their hand, really just getting them to waste that. And then the Cerberus could just be a really nice 2-drop blocker. Not something that we see in a ton of the Gecko list, but one that this player is playing today, and you see the value potentially on that Cerberus. So thinking about if maybe that's the right play, you start out probably by swinging the 5s of all your characters, right? And then just going in and playing that. You would hate for, you know, playing the Gecko, getting all those cards down. You might actually do play Gecko first, and it looks like they're just going to swing 5 to start out. So playing the Isho instead. So the Isho is interesting. This is a inclusion that has really been on the uptick for the Gecko decks, and for that interaction right there on play for Isho, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. So pitching the Frankie and the 10-drop ace, some very good stuff. The Frankie, a really good card to be able to get bodies on the field and inclusion in a lot of different decks. Actually, that might not be Frankie. That says 7 drop right there, I believe. Didn't catch what that card was. Let me try to figure it out. Oh, it was the, what is that card called? It's a card that we just got in OP06, a Charlotte card overall, or EB01, I think it was, that we got it. One of those two sets, the Charlotte Compate overall. So that's a 7 cost 9,000 power Big Mom Pirates character. Just a really good vanilla to be able to play sometimes on your odd curve, like on 7, to be able to get big numbers swinging next turn if you don't have any other good options. Because especially from, you know, the 1 Dawn turn to the 9 Dawn turn, it's a little bit awkward at times, knowing what you want to play, because all your big bodies like this Yamato here, the 3rd Yamato in their hand, all your big giant healing bodies are like 8, 9, and 10. So the Enel player now going into a 9 Dawn turn, probably going to be using the Yamato, I would imagine, after this 5k swing, and that brand new is used for counter to pop the Hina, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Going to heal 1 life, going back up to 2 overall, as the Gecko now moves into 10 Dawn. So the Isho stays alive. The Isho, very nice. As soon as you attach 1 Dawn to the Isho, it doesn't even have to be a swing. All opponents' characters gain -3 cost. So with the Isho, really good at utilizing to KO different characters. Overall, you could, if you wanted to, attach 1 Dawn to the Isho to have that effect, to go off that minusing effect, then play the Gecko to get an Absalom, right? The Absalom would be able to KO the Shirahoshi and would be very nice overall. So 5 right there at life, going to be a Capone right there. So the Capone could be a nice trigger to kind of stall out, but I wouldn't imagine the Gecko player swinging too much more at this point, especially after hitting that freeze on the leader. No swinging being able to be applied to the leader at this point, which I think the Gecko player is like, okay, you know what, fine, because I'm gonna probably play the 8-drop Gecko anyways, and gonna be attaching the 2 off to the brand new. So swinging and hitting a life, that's a Charlotte Perospero there. That's been a while since I've seen that card, and gaining a life through leader effect and pitching that same Perospero card. So in here, you still have 8 Dawn overall. I'm going to be swinging 9, so an interesting swing right here. Really just valuing the swing, and that's a Rygo trigger potentially. So if they do decide to enact this Rygo, it is a trigger of KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost equal to or less than you and your opponent's total life. So if they decided to use this trigger, it would only be able to KO Branu or Sindri. So I think they would rather have the main effect of KOing literally any character on the field. Could be something that we see get put down on Isho or the Gecko that's about to come down. I don't think it's a secret about the Gecko overall. So after using the leader effect, no life left for the Enel, and so the Gecko player really thinking about, okay, is it worth like going all in with Sindri right now? If they did go all in with Sindri, I don't think they'd be able to do it, only being able to get to 10,000 power, right? And with the you're the one that should disappear, playing that Gecko down, they've got a 2k Frankie as well, and Flampe not going to be able to get lethal. So going a little bit of the safer route and saying, you know what, I'm going to put the Gecko down. I'm going to get some bodies to be able to put down. I could see Perona and Cerberus coming down. You could do Perona as sideways and then the Cerberus as active, right, to have an active blocker but also get the effect of pitching a valuable card. Thinking about Rebecca, though, Rebecca could be nice if you want to get double blocker and then also put out like a 2k from the trash into hand to really just bolster up the hand for some upcoming swings, but going to be opting for that Perona and Cerberus combo, like I mentioned, getting rid of the what was that guy's called, Branu and Victoria's Sindri overall, and the Rygo is going to be pitched. So the Rygo is interesting being pitched. I mean, at this point, if you're now, you're using all of your Dawn in your turn to get those big bodies out, right? To put the 9-cost Yamato out, to put the 10-drop Ace out. You're not doing it anymore for small bodies like Rygo and Frankie and things like that. So now the question is, in this one, you really got to think about which one is more valuable, like the Yamato or the Ace. The Yamato only is able to KO the Cerberus, which does have value because of the total of both players' life. The Ace has that on play effect. You may add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life, then you have 2 life cards or less. This character gains Rush. So this Ace, if they do put this Ace down, would be able to immediately compete with the Isho and swing at it and force the Gecko player to really respond to it. So swinging 5 at lead, going to be doing a little 1k counter, and this Yamato here, Yamato is a 9,000 power body. So the Yamato thinking about, okay, do I really go lead or do I go into the Isho? The Isho also is a 9,000 power body, so it would be a little easy, honestly, if you're planning on using the 10-drop Ace. It'd be really easy to counter out of. Almost every card in the Gecko's hand is counterable, right? With the Sabo, Suru, and Peronas. Seeing all 4 Peronas, I think, at this point. 3 Surus and 4 Peronas overall. They have 1 in the trash, 2 in hand, and then 1 on the field. So a really good job seeing what you need in terms of counter, at least in this game. If I'm this person playing, this Enel player, I think I'm actually more wanting to play the Ace overall. I think Ace might be a little bit better just because it's a little bit higher of a character, right? It's 10,000 power instead of 9,000 power. It has immediate value with the rush that it gets, right? Because you're going to be at 2 or less life, because you'd be at 1 life if you played that guy. And then also you can compete with these huge bodies. So we'll see exactly what our player decides to do in this one. Take a quick sip of my coffee in this early morning. And yeah, they still have to swing with the Yamato though, so curious to see where the Yamato they go. They might reveal the Ace, put the Ace down, play it, and then swing with the Yamato to really kind of play a little bit more of the mind games with the Gecko player. And it looks like they're actually swinging the 9 at life, it looks like right here, first with the Yamato. So 9 at life, a little bit different than 9 on one of the characters, because the 9 at life is a lot harder to counter out. So just going to be blocking with the Cerberus and then dropping that 10-drop Ace, going to be getting a life here, and the Ace with 2 life or less going to be swinging 10. Now this is presumably at life again. If this is at life again, this is definitely going to hit, and it does. Going to be an Absalom off of that life. So 10 Dawn now, and some decent sized bodies on the field as you draw into that Borsellino. You could go a little bit more of the safer route with the 5-cost Sabo and being able to draw cards and keep your bodies alive, right? The Yamato math isn't really going to matter too much, I feel like, at this point in the game, because the total life is at 2, only really depending on the 10-drop Ace. But thinking about it and distributing the Dawn, swinging 7 at lead, and it's going to be a you're the one that should disappear off of the life. So with this interaction, you'll see right here, If you have 0 life cards, put the top card of your deck onto your life pile, then trash 1 card from your hand. They pitch the Yamato, and then on top of that, pitching another card for the leader effect, right? Because the leader effect kind of like simultaneously procs as well. So going from 0 life to 2 life in an instant. A lucky, nice top deck from that Enel on that ace, putting back the life, and now they're all the way back up to 2, right? 3 more swings are what it's going to take down this Enel overall in the contest. And so looking around now in this one, going to be picking up the Absalom and swinging 5, just doing a little bit of poke damage, doing a little bit of testing. They are at 2 life overall, so this poke damage will be able to get them and dwindle their hand down for the future turns. So only 5 cards in hand overall. Unfortunately, it's a lot of counter cards overall. The You're the One That Should Disappear would really go well with the Yamato in the hand, and then you got 2 2Ks and a 1K. Got it. Yes. So thinking about where they want to go, just going to be taking the card. It's going to be an Onami, and no Onami trigger overall. Very interesting with the second Onami in hand, and so really just looking around to be able to try to find out where they should go exactly. And so looking around in here, the Onami, I mean, the Onami is really interesting. I mean, it only gets rid of the Absalom and Perona, so I think at this point, like, if you're a Enel, I think the reason that you kept that is, like, if you're not confident through these last 3 swings, right, that you can live overall, then like you want the extra counter in your hand, right? You have 4, 7, 8, 9,000 power worth of counter in your hand up to this point without the help of that final life. So going to be swinging now the Gecko Moria. It's 9,000 power. Looks like it's going to lead. It looks like they might be thinking about trading the counter power, but taking that life. It's going to be a 10-drop ace, so there's no more counter than what I mentioned earlier in the hand. So going to be swinging 5 right there, just getting out 1K, and then attaching the rest of the Dawn to the E-Show. This is 4-8 Dawn onto that E-Show. It's going to be 17,000 power, not enough, and the Gecko Moria player is going to come away with the victory in this one. Very, very nice job by the Gecko player. Felt like they had good control of the game, and now kind of just starting a little bit slow almost at times, not really being able to do anything in the early game, just really prevented them from being able to do much overall. There are still other games in this 3v3 going on though, and so looking at the black-yellow Luffy in the Trafalgar Law, that's an exciting matchup right there. We did see the black-yellow Luffy in the last round take down the Trafalgar Law, so Luffy using that leader effect, or I'm sorry, using the baby on the play to go ahead and play the 5-cost Luffy, attaching 2 Dawn to the leader Luffy. Looks like a pretty close match up to this point overall, and with that leader effect, after attaching the 2 Dawn, going to be playing the Sabo and the Ace, allowing the Sabo to evolve, get that blocker on the field, another 2K power boost, and your leader now assigned from the Dawn is at 9,000 power overall, so now an 11K swing, that 11K swing blocked right there, and now going in with 4 Dawn at this point. 4 Dawn and a Dream, only about 3 cards I think, or 2 in the black-yellow Luffy player's hand, but they're a 9,000 power leader with a Sabo blocker on the field, so going to be really, really difficult in trying to KO the Luffy on this turn, it's actually impossible because you can only swing one time with the 4 Dawn. So the leader effect really just being hurtful in this situation. You can only assume through all the less Dawn that the Law player has that the leader effect really came back to haunt them overall, putting the Dawn away because they don't have any mustard left to put on their hot dogs. That's going to be my new caster, new like every like sports broadcaster has their like little shtick about what they're going to say. So I'm just going to say like mustard on their hot dogs. Anyways, continuing in this one in here, we got a 3. So 3 is going to drop the Tony Chopper. The Chopper is going to be a nice blocker overall, and they're just going to pass. And so playing the leader effect, I'm sorry, not passing. The leader effect is going to put down that Bon-chan, and then through the Dawn gained through the Kid blocker is going to be able to rest 3 more for the Tony Chopper. And so now with only about 1 card left, I think in deck they've got 3 blockers overall, but 4 swings they need to prepare for outside of the ace in life. And so swinging 9, swinging 7, swinging 7 again, and then swinging the rest with Flampe. Flampe is going to take the KO on that one. Black Yellow Luffy we've seen in this tournament now 2-0 the Trafalgar Laws. So definitely a deck if you're maybe a little bit tired of the Trafalgar Laws at your locals, just you wait. Maybe start practicing with this deck now in EB01 in order to be ready for that big matchup, because Trafalgar Law, I mean, if you saw my tier list video, if you've seen a lot of my, you know, meta talk conversation videos, especially in like EB01, OP07, Trafalgar Law is a dominant deck. And so having a deck that can specifically answer to it, right, is a very strong point in this game. You definitely want to have a deck that is able to compete with one of the more popular and better archetypes in the meta. So that's going to be all for this round. We did see the team on the left, the red team, take 2 wins, so advancing into the next portion of this tournament. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Again, the link for the official live stream is in the description below. It looks like the next matchup is going to be... oh, there it is. I saw it. The next matchup is going to be kind of a mirror match of an entire mirror match. So the tables, each table on the team are the same deck. We're going to see a mirror match at some point. It'd be interesting, I think, to see the black-yellow mirror match of the starter deck Luffy, but whoa, actually we can look because this is the next day. It is going to be the black-yellow Luffy mirror match, so look forward to that in the next video. I'm excited for that. Hope you are too, and yeah, see you later.